Hello, I am Allfather Hatt, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to set up your own Space Station 14 developer environment, and by extension of this, how to run your own local instance of a Space Station 14 server, so you can mess around with it, develop, whatever you like. It's a fairly simple process. You're going to need three things. You're going to need what's called Git, you're going to need Python, and Microsoft Visual Studio. Just to briefly explain, Git is a tool for what's called distributed version control or distributed version management. It is basically a tool you use to collaborate with other people on documents, everything from code to text to whatever it might be. We're going to need this in order to fetch the source code, so let's start there. You do this by going to git-scm.com. This is where you'll get Git. Just download it for Windows. If you have Linux, I assume you know what to do, but let's start here and say click here to download. I have uninstalled my entire development environment just so I can do this, so, appreciate. I'm just kidding. It's all good. Right, so this is the install for Git. Just do next. I'm going to put mine on my D drive because I like to keep things separated from my operating system. Alright, it already exists. It's because I already have had Git installed before, so the folder structure is still there, but you won't get this, so just continue anyway. These settings by default are pretty much okay, so don't worry about this unless you know what you're doing. Just carry on. Just say next again. Now with this, the default editor, unless you really know Vim or really want to learn what Vim is, you can use that. I personally do not know anything about Vim. I once tried to learn it. I don't really want to. What you could do, as could be a default thing that you're always going to have, is use Notepad. If you want to help yourself a little bit, I'd recommend you get Notepad++ and use this as your default editor. That's what I'm going to do. Just said that. Click next. With this one, just said let Git decide. Don't worry too much about what this means. Same thing for this. Use recommended. Again, the one that it's already on is just fine. Use bundle open SSH. This is for opening connections and stuff like that. Use open SSL library. This is also fine. We check out Windows style. Also fine. Just next. With this one, this will give you a different kind of terminal. Now, I don't know what everybody else's preference is, but I also always sort of reasoned I don't need an additional terminal, so I just kind of use Windows default console window. Just hit next. Fast forward or merge. It's a completely fine way of doing it. Don't worry. If you don't know what any of this means, don't worry about it. Just do this. And use Git Credential Manager. Enable file system caching. That's fine. No need to turn on experimental support. Click install, and it'll do its job. We don't want to watch release notes, so we can just quickly say launch git bash just so you can see what it looks like. It's just a terminal, really, and you can just type in git, and it should give you an output. Just shows you that it works. So just close this again. You don't really need this yet. Okay, so now that we've done this, you're going to need the second thing, Python. All right. Python is going to be needed for some scripts that's going to be run later on. So it's kind of important you have it installed. So let's just quickly do that. I also uninstalled my Python earlier. It's going to suggest a default location, or you can customize the location you want to go to. I'm just going to go with the default one, which is just fine. Oh, and also add python.exe to path. That's probably a good idea. You could do that. Strictly speaking, you don't have to, but it's also a good thing to do. Cool. Setup successful. All right. First 2 steps complete. See, this is very easy. Like, it really is very easy. All right. Now we get to the third part. This is going to be, I think, the most complicated part, but it's not really complicated. You go to visualstudio.microsoft.com, and there's going to be a download page, and it's going to give you a couple of options. And you just choose the community edition because that's the one that's free, and that's the one we want. And this is then going to give you a download. You'll see that gives it a 1. That's because I already downloaded it at one point. I'm just going to drag this onto my desktop. And just quickly rename this so it doesn't have that 1 in front of it or after it. That's all you need from that website. You just close that. You run this, and it's going to ask you, do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? And just say yes. And click continue. And it's now going to download this thing will download an installer for everything else. It's like a whole environment of different development tools that you can use and download onto your computer, and it looks like this. Now, what you're going to need from this list of tools is you're going to need I mean, I actually don't strictly know if it's Python development is necessary, but I always choose it. And you're going to need what's called .NET desktop development. These are basically the 2 options you need. Now, usually when it comes to this part down here that says location, that's usually fine. I have it a need to put mine somewhere else though, so I'm just gonna change it and just put it to my D drive instead. So that instead of putting it on my operating system drive, it's gonna put it on my storage drive or my application drive. And what it says in terms of install while downloading, that's fine. I'm just going to click install. So that means that once it's downloaded one of the things that I need, it's going to start installing. And let's just do that. And then hopefully, because I have a fairly good connection, it's not going to take that long. I'm just going to do a little, download dance here. Oh, I actually made this thing go away. Actually, let's just delete this real quick. This is really good download dancing. I'd say 8 out of 10. Wow, just a quick circle back and forth here. 8 out of 10, I'd say. Yeah. What's going to happen once we've finished downloading is that we're going to get to the part about Git, which is, I'm just going to do a quick setup of Visual Studio. I'm going to take you through it, obviously. And then we're going to go and find the code that we need to pull down that we're going to run. And we're going to restore it, or what's called it's called a restore, and then we're going to build it, and then we're going to launch it. It's going to be an easy process. I'll take you through the whole thing. Don't worry about it. There's going to be some parts of it where it's going to say like, hey, this project is targeting some other version of .NET that you haven't installed yet. Would you like to install it? And we're going to do that. And again, I'm going to take you through the whole thing, so no worries. It's all going to be very, very simple. And I'm going to also go to GitHub real quick. See, and actually let's probably take it from the point of view of searching for it. What you can do to find the code that you want is say Space Station 14 GitHub. And this should give you Wizard's Den, or Space Wizards. And this is where the source code lives. This is the stuff we want. Alright, what does it say? Alright. Now it wants us to sign into Visual Studio. We don't want to do that because there's no need to, so we're just going to say skip this for now. We're going to choose General here and set it to dark. It's going to be fine. And start Visual Studio. Close this installer back here. We don't need that anymore. Alright. Now we're here. This is the part where we're going to pull the code. Now, as you just saw, we opened this GitHub page where the code lives. This green button here that says code, this is, by the way, the website where you need to have a GitHub user. You click the code button here. There's going to be an address here where you can fetch the code from. So we're going to need this whole thing. We just click copy URL to clipboard. Go over here to Visual Studio 2022 and say clone a repository. This is then going to give us this thing. We paste this thing we just copied in here. In my case, usually for a lot of people this will be just fine. Again, I'm a little special snowflake though, so I'm going to put mine somewhere else. I'm just going to copy this part that I need. And I'm going to take mine to an E drive where I have that's called DevOps repository, so that's where I'm going to go. And then I'm going to create a backward slash and put it into a folder called Space Station 14. Is it not happy about that? Come on. Oh, that's probably because I haven't deleted the folder yet from last time that I had this code down. So let me just really quickly delete this folder. And it is deleting. All right, cool. So now I'm going to try this again. Cool. Now it's happy. Minor hiccup. No worries. I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. Alright. Click clone. And it's going to receive objects. You want to receive objects. Like, it's a very good thing to receive objects. And we're cloning to the folder. We're doing a little receiving dance here. Alright. Lots of objects. Objects are good. Oh, resolving deltas. You want to resolve deltas. Always want to resolve deltas. And then check out files. Check them out. Just, you know, pull down sunglasses, check out files. More deltas. Cool. This is going to be great. And that's it. Now you'll see a bunch of stuff appeared over here on the right. That's what we want. We're just going to close this whole what's new thing. We don't want that. And we don't want to have Copilot. Look, thank you for the offer, but no Copilot, thank you. All right. Now we have to open a solution. It says open a solution folder or other item. That's what we're going to do. We're going to open the one that's called Space Station 14.slm, which is the solution. Just double click that. Cool. And now I think you may have remember I said that whole thing about it's going to say that, you know, it wants a different .NET version that you don't have, and it's going to be like the project is targeting a version of .NET which is not installed. And there's a little neat button here that says install, which we're going to click. Very, very handy. And it'll tell you we'll install the frameworks, SDKs, and tools that you'll need. You can add more later using the Visual Studio installer, and it's going to put in .NET 6.0 and .NET 7.0. And that's completely cool. Just click install. Click yes. While we wait for that, while it does that, I'm just gonna, you know, do a little dance down here. Just to entertain you, so you're not bored while my progress bar does its thing, you know? Because I'm a smooth dancer. You see this? Yeah. This is very, very smooth. I'm probably scaring away people from my guide when I do this, but you know. Or attracting some. I'd like to think so. This is a pretty cool dance. Alright, I think we're about ready to continue because it's finishing up. I don't know why it says it might take a while. Because it usually doesn't take a while. It just takes a moment. There you go. Installation complete. Alright, I'm just going to duck down here. Preparing solution. Oh yeah. Now, if you've made it this far, and everything more or less looks like what mine does at this point, I can give you a small applause and say, good job, because now your development environment is pretty much set up. Like, you've done all the right stuff so far. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run a script, and then we're going to build, and then we're going to run the server. So this is part 2, del 2, part 2. First, we're going to run a Python file. This is why we needed Python. I'm going to just open a command prompt like this, and I'm going to navigate to my E drive, to DevOps, to repositories, and then to Space Station 14. This is where the source of code is for all the stuff we just downloaded. You just got to go to the same folder for where your source code is. You can do a directory here and see that there's a file here that's called runthis.py. That's the file we want to run. So how to do this is usually right. I hope this works. Py space run, and then I usually just press tab to autocomplete the rest. So it's run underscore this.py, and you hit enter, and it does a bunch of things. Like usually if you haven't done this before, I think it does a bit more. I think so. But once you've done this, that's all you need. You can close this terminal again. You just need to run this command or this script. Right, back to Visual Studio. You can keep this on debug. That's okay, usually. I tend to put mine on release. So you put it on release, and then you go to build and say build solution. And then it's going to start doing a bunch of things down here. See a bunch of this. Gonna do all this. Blah, blah, blah. This looks very, very tech. Like, oh yes, this is what developers do. Like we know what this means, all of it. We read this. Oh yeah, no, we definitely know what all this means. We're so on top of all this. We sort of like speak this language. Absolutely. Now, at the end of this, it says build completed in 23.07 seconds, some such thing. Now comes the fun part. Now you've built the source code and you're ready to run it. So let's do that. First, we have to run a local instance of the server itself. You go up to this drop-down menu here, and you find the thing that's called content.server. This thing here. You don't press the completely green arrow because this would just run it with debugging. We don't want that. We just want it to run. So start without debugging. Click this little arrow here. And the window will come up and do a bunch of things. Okay, and then here at the end it'll say server version so and so and so ready. That means your local server is now running and ready to receive connections. Locally, mind you. So now we're going to run the client. Just going to minimize this. Don't close it. Don't hit X. Just minimize it. Go to the drop-down menu again. Find the one that's called content.client. Select that. And again, press the arrow over here. A new window will come up. And we'll then launch this client. We just minimize this window as well. So basically there are two terminals running here, the server and the client. But what you really want to concentrate on is this thing that came up here, which is just the user interface for the client. It's going to put in a default username, John Gennaro, which is a brilliant name, and address localhost. This is all fine. You don't need to change anything. Just click Direct Connect. And this should, I believe, no? Why is this not working? This should work. Have we done something wrong? Let's just make sure we haven't. Let's close the server real quick. This is a great guide. This is a very great guide. No, this should work. It might just have had a little hiccup. Ah, there we go. Yeah, it just had a little hiccup. I don't know what happened. If you experience something like what I just had, just close it and try to run it again. It will be fine. Alright, I'm just gonna actually stop my music so we don't have two pieces of music running over each other. Very Space Station 14. So now we are actually connected. You can also see it over here. See, we can find where the server was ready and to where we got now. Yeah, see, this is where the server was when it started. It says ready, and then when we clicked connect with our client, the server started receiving all this information and doing handshakes and whatnot. And so now you connect to the server, John Gennaro. Here we are. That's what that looks like. And if you've made it this far, again, well done. Now you actually have your own local instance of a Space Station 14 server running, and you've connected to it. It says it's now waiting for the round to start. We can just basically force it to start by saying start round. You can hit tilde to get this menu to come down. And say start round. And it should start in a minute or in a second here. Or is it just being difficult today because I'm trying to start round? Come on. Of course it is. Of course it's going to be difficult when I'm trying to be helpful here. Alright, we're not going to wait 40 seconds. I'm just going to quickly restart this. Of course it's being difficult. I don't know why it's being difficult, but it is being difficult. I even set it to release. That's supposed to be the stable version. This is going great. Nah. Sometimes development is just a little weird. Just gonna try again. But then you also get to see the oddities. So it's not necessarily a bad thing for a guy to have a few hiccups so that you can see what might happen to you as you do things. I'm just basically repeating the steps before to start up the server and connect to it. Do this. Let's say start round. And it says, oh, here we go. The round is starting now.
Welcome to the station, crew. Enjoy your stay.
And then you can click observe, admin observe. And here we are, the reach map. And then you have, because you hit admin observe, you have all your admin options here and whatnot. You hit admin ghost, that means you get hands. You can interact with things, even though you're a ghost. And now you can start messing around. You can go to the console again, say mapping. That puts you into a new map, and you can start building things. Like, you get a bunch of the stuff here on the left. Just place down some tiles. Let's do this. Hell yeah. 'Tis the battery platform. Ta-da! Maybe have some walls. Yep. Yeah, these are great walls. And like that. And then we're gonna have some grills here. Some grills there. And then we're going to place some reinforced windows on top of these. Oh, I might have accidentally just placed one too many on top of that, but that's okay. We can just go to spawn entities here and delete one of them. There we go. So yeah, that is how you set up your own developer environment and how you run your own local instance of a Space Station 14 server. I hope it has been very useful and that it will now let you do great things on your own. And maybe I'll make a video later on how to do simple map making or shipbuilding and how to save things and commit to code and whatnot. But for now, you have set up your own development environment and start messing around, experiment, do things. It's going to be great. And with that said, fair winds to you, and may your efforts bring you glory. See ya.